Jose Mourinho understandably wasn't in the mood for perspective.He had just watched his Manchester United chuck away a lead against 10-man Leicester City, and, even by his own standards, he was brutal in his assessment of his own players. Childish was one word used, joke was another. They hadn't even followed basic instructions at the end when Chris Smalling, limping with an injury, was unable to move and thus couldn't track Harry Maguire's run for a glorious equalizing goal with pretty much the last kick of the game. Ashley Young had been tasked with telling the team to protect Smalling. Somehow the message hadn't got through. So it wasn't surprising that Mourinho wasn't ready to look for the bigger picture. But some context: after 19 games last season, the halfway point, they had 36 points and were 6th. After this game, at the same stage, they have 42 points and are 2nd. There is always a but, of course. But for Manchester United, this would be a perfectly reasonable opening half of the season. And but for some awful finishing and a chaotic last few minutes, they would be coming away from Leicester with the full 3 points. Now that 13-point gap to their noisy neighbours, once an irritant yet now making a pitch to be one of the great teams, is a gigantic chasm. Throw in the Pep Guardiola factor, and this must feel unbearable. Certainly that is how the manager seemed to read it last night. It is as bad as a defeat, he said. Sometimes you take a point, and you say okay, and you accept it as it was hard to get a positive result. That is not the case. It is not easy to say we lost 2 points. We didn't win because missed incredible chances. I would say joke chances. We made a big defensive accumulation of mistakes. I talked to the players at halftime when it was 1-1 that it was an easy match to win. Some players, they have childish decisions and time helps them to have maturity and to decide better, but some other players stay with childish decisions until the end of their career. It should be said that Leicester's injury time equaliser was a thing of great beauty. A long, precise though slightly desperate ball into the box by Mark Albrighton was met with a run and finish of exquisite timing by Maguire, who capped a lovely performance with his goal. For their endeavour and determination with 10 men, perhaps Leicester just about deserved it. Yet United know they should have won this game comfortably. None more so than Jesse Lingard. On 72 minutes, Romelu Lukaku played a perfectly timed pass for Lingard, who feinted past Kasper Schmeichel yet contrived to hit the post. That was presumably one of the joke chances, but equally there was Anthony Martial lifting a simple chance over the bar on 54 minutes. Mourinho was so indignant about his players' inabilities he couldn't ever raise the energy to complain about the potential penalty Marcus Rashford might have won on 79 minutes when in collision with Schmeichel. But this was a game wholly in the grip of United, and certainly so from the 78th minute. That was when Daniel Amartey, who had only come on in the 57th minute, picked up his second booking and departed for a crude block on Rashford. It presumably wasn't the impact Claude Puel had in mind. That United let the game slip was a relative catastrophe, though his players might retort that it was the manager who had brought on Ander Herrera to close the game out soon after the Lingard miss. They had fallen behind to a goal of rare beauty, starting with the sheer coolness of Maguire, under pressure in his own box, finding Christian Fuchs with a compass. Fuchs fed the midfield, who found Wilfred Ndidi, who in turn saw the huge space United had allowed Riyad Mahrez and played in his teammate with a delightful pass. Mahrez slightly overran himself and appeared to have missed the chances Smalling got back. But then, utterly in control amidst the chaos, he simply waited a split second for Jamie Vardy to join him. As Smalling hesitated, his brain seemingly scrambled by Mahrez's sheer poise, the Algerian rolled the ball into Vardy's path, who naturally scored with one touch. United, though, had their own more considered attacking threat and responded on 38 minutes with a precise passing move involving Paul Pogba, Nemanja Matic, Juan Mata and Anthony Martial. The Frenchman's cross was deflected to Lingard, who deftly touched it back to Mata, who shot through a phalanx of players to equalize. On the hour, United's moment came, and it was Mata again, playing superbly, who provided. Sizing up a free kick 20 yards out, he simply lifted the ball over a jumping defensive wall and managed to provide enough deftness to see it drop into the far corner of the net beyond a despairing Schmeichel. It was a lovely moment. But it wasn't enough. And that might be a summary of the first half of the season. United are a lot better than they were.